Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Travel Coach Network podcast. It is I, Sahai Rose Devore, the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network and the creator and instructor of the Travel Coach Certification Program. Today, we have a very lovely guest. We have Sophia Elkak. She has been in the healing arts for over 20 years and is a Holy Fire Reiki Master. She's a certified life coach who also works with essential oils and many forms of energy healing. She facilitates the healing of mind, body, and spirit by working with women on slaying in the good girl syndrome so they can take back their power, be their authentic self, and create a life that they love to wake up to feeling fulfilled and more authentically themselves. Sophia is the host of the Travel and Transformation podcast, who has also a passion for travel with a goal of hitting every continent at least once. Sophia, thank you so much for joining us on the TCN podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Ah, wonderful. Well, tell us, where did your love for travel stem from?
Well, my parents started traveling with me when I think maybe I was about 3. And back then, travel was a whole lot more fun for kids because we got coloring books and we got the little airline pins. We got to go visit the pilot up in the cockpit. So it was a real adventure. And I think from there, that's when the travel bug bit me. But then as I got older, I just, you know, got adventurous and I wanted to see the rest of the world because growing up, I used to visit family, from different parts of the world and whatnot, but I just wanted to see what else was out there.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, the pilots always gave you the little airline pins and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely travel looked a little bit more approachable back then for children. Was there a trip that you would say really changed you, impacted you, transformed you in some way?
I'd have to say it was my trip to Morocco, but it wasn't the actual trip itself. Granted, that was an amazing trip. I love the country. But what really changed for me was when I got stranded in the airport in Casablanca and I didn't know how I was going to get home because I booked through one airline and was traveling through their sister airline. So the airline I booked through didn't have a like an office in Casablanca. So I went to the airline I was supposed to be flying on. They're like, sorry, we can't help you. You have to go back to the airline that you booked through. And of course, huge time difference and all this stuff. So I'm just freaking out because I'm like, I don't know how I'm getting home because I'd missed my flight. So had travel insurance, got on the line, and that was like my first earth angel person that I met. And she decided to stay with me um, through her shift, beyond her shift. She was making three-way calls with me, trying to get me on a flight. And we finally got in touch with this other lady who was, well, I'm not going to say the name of the airline, but she was on the airline that I was going to fly. And she's like, I can't believe that people tried to leave you stranded. I'm going to get you home. So I had her and the lady from my travel insurance. So I have two of them on the line and I'm there. And she just created a whole new schedule for me that actually turns out to be a better schedule than the one I was originally supposed to fly. I got a better seat. And so when I get on the flight, the flight attendant in my area, she just decides to take special care of me. And so for the whole flight, she kept, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Let me move you over here to a whole so you can have like a whole row to yourself so you can relax." And so that just kind of not, I wouldn't say restored my faith in humans, but it just showed me how amazing people can be. Because, going through life and you think about all the stuff that's going on, all you really hear about is what's bad. But to actually be able to experience something that good, to see people just working for your good so that you can get what you need was amazing. And that just stuck with me. That really just stuck with me just just to see how travel can show you a different side of people.
Yeah, that's so true. You're right. All we do, not all we see, but we often see just like the bad, what's going on and how dangerous the world is and different places. But when we're out and about actually traveling, we see how kind people are, how accommodating, how welcoming, how warm people can be. And that's something that I feel like if you're only in it as a traveler, you can really fully understand. And I've heard that often. People are like, well, it's not about necessarily like restoring my faith in humanity, but it really does shine a light on how many incredible people there are around this world, even those who they don't know who you are. They're of a different background, religion, skin color, race, just everything. And they are willing to help you. And
Yeah.
so I always say the world would be a lot kinder, better of a place if everyone traveled just a little bit more, right? You'd be exposed to a lot of things and you'd be the one in need of help. And I like that you talked about, what did you call them? You called them the earth angels. I
Yeah.
always say that I had travel angels when I was traveling, those people that helped you without even realizing they helped you, or maybe obviously consciously helping you, but they were just times that you just needed someone for something,
Yeah.
whether it was, I can, list off so many different experiences that I had where someone came in and like really just helped, and that was incredible. Uh, when it comes to, so your love of travel, what inspired you now to want to help women? Can you share more about what you mean in the good girl syndrome?
Sure. So, good girl syndrome is something I think that we're starting to hear about a lot more. And what that is, it's a patterns of behavior that a lot of women have, like people pleasing and putting everybody else first, you know, um, and society also has these rules, spoken and unspoken, of what they expect of women and what their roles are. So even the most accomplished person can maybe not even realize that they have some of these behavior patterns. And a lot of these behavior patterns lead to limiting beliefs, that maybe I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I have to be perfect in everything I do. So I recognize some of that stuff in myself, and I was like, oh, no, 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 we need to slay that. Like the dragon slayer, we need to go in and get rid of all of that. And not to say that it doesn't come with gifts, because, if you're a people pleaser, that probably means that you know how to listen to people, and you're a nurturer, and you can start meeting other people's needs. So there are gifts, but it's really about releasing the limiting beliefs and all the things that come with that. So that's what I decided to help women with. So I usually work with single women who are over 40, professional, and they just feel like, even though on the outside everything looks like it's good, that they on the inside they're not feeling fulfilled, or they're waking up thinking, gosh, there's more to life than this. There's got to be more. There's got to be something else. So those are generally my clients. They show up because they really want to start making themselves a priority and figuring out what it is that they need to feel fulfilled, whether it's in career, relationship, or just relating in general.
Yeah, I can see how many people would relate to that, even if it is in a professional way or not. Um, but when it comes to travel, where does travel fit in the piece, and exactly do you help the women take back their power and go from feeling like they have to be this perfect image and have this perfect life and and do everything they're supposed to be doing and live up to feeling more like their authentic self and being happier and feeling more fulfilled. What does that look like, and what kind of techniques? Because I know that you, like I read in your bio, do a lot of the energy healing and spirituality, and obviously you have a deep belief in transformative travel. How does that all tie together to help these women reach those goals?
Okay, so with a lot of that, we have, again, looking into the blind spots and seeing what are your limiting beliefs. Because, again, a lot of times your limiting beliefs are in your blind spot. So I'm a woman-centered coach, and that's with Clear Zamet. So there's a whole process that we go to, I have to say, excavate what all those things are and how they're showing up in their lives. So we go through that process. And then, of course, we do use energy healing. And one of the things that I like to do a lot is journaling, because as you're journaling and you're free form writing, a lot of things start to come out that you didn't even realize were there when you start talking about your feelings and what you desire and what's pleasurable in your life. So we look at all of those things, and then travel is a way to, because a lot of people, I guess, when things are not well in their lives, they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to go on a trip." So it's almost like a runaway. But travel's not really a runaway. It's something to go towards. And as you're seeing different perspectives, because you're out of your everyday life, and so you're not at home and hearing all the things that you need to do, calling your name, you're looking around, it's like, oh my God, I got to vacuum, I got to do this, I got to do that. When you're traveling, you're able to turn inward and then look outward with a whole different perspective. And I think with that perspective and just enjoying another location can really start to change the way you feel on the inside, because you're noticing things about yourself, because you learn a lot about yourself when you travel. You learn where you're resilient, you learn where you're resourced, you learn where you might need help to learn a new skill that you didn't know you needed when you were at home. So I think that's what travel can do. That's how travel can really help transform people. And even in the what I gave you as what helped transform, what had an impact on me, just that alone, you might not get that at home, right? So to be stranded in the airport, to be scared, to feel helpless, and then, have to pull it together. It's like, okay, you know what? You're a resourceful human being. What can you do? And
Yeah.
then having to pull that out of myself, it's like, okay, you bought travel insurance, call them. I happened to be online, and a friend of mine was online. I was like, oh my God, she's awake. So talk to her, tell her what's going on. So I had her looking up flights for me. So I learned more about my resilience having gone through that. So I think travel can do a lot, and it really depends on what you need at that time, because it can also be very healing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we learn so much about, like you said, about ourselves when we travel. And obviously, I'm a big believer in just how powerful travel can be as a tool for us to live our best lives, live our most authentic lives, figure out what we want to do in our lives, who we want to be, what kind of people do we want around us, where do we want to live, what kind of lifestyle do we want to have. Like travel opens our eyes to all of that. So I can definitely see how you are using these powerful questions as a coach to really pull to the surface the awareness from your clients of why are you feeling this way? And like just like you said, like they think they want to go on a trip just to get away and escape, right? What are you getting away from? What are you escaping from? What are you trying to go towards?
Yeah.
Right? That's all exactly what we do in the world of travel coaching too. It's just like there's motivating factors underneath this. There's underlying layers. Let's pull them to the surface. Let's bring awareness to these, so that we can really use a trip, as a way to reach whatever goals we have. And I can see exactly how you're doing that. And then you sprinkle in all your other little interests, which I absolutely love, with the Reiki and the energy healing and the essential oils. I'm a big fan of all of these holistic living type of things. So that's really, and I'm sure it looks different for each client that you work with, right? What elements you bring in there. Would you say that or could you share an example of an outcome or transformation that one of your clients have had by working with you?
Yeah, so I had one client who, she's a mom. She was a single mom for the most of her life. So she identified herself as a mom and a daughter. And that was the only way she saw herself, was as a mom and a daughter, and then an employee. So she didn't see herself as herself at all. It was only these different roles that she played. So after working with me, um, she started to figure out what she liked. And then it went into, oh, okay, I like these things. And she started to figure out who she was again, who she was as herself, and then she ended up meeting new people and forming new friendships. She got into a relationship. She ended up talking to her boss. She got a raise. So all of this just from not necessarily discarding the roles that she had, but really stepping into her own power and figuring out who she is in this point in her life. And she just every time, I think for me, every time she came in and would tell me something new that was going on in her life, or something new that she figured out, that's what kind of lit me up, because she was so lit up as she, started uncovering. It's like, okay, now, she originally came because she wanted a better relationship with her daughter, which actually happened, but it happened through her just becoming more of who she was and learning more about who she was and focusing on herself. So yeah, that's one of my clients, and a great outcome for her.
That sounds like it. That's amazing. Well, as we come towards the end of our chat today, I always love to ask, is there a fun fact about yourself? It doesn't have to be business or travel related that you can share with our listeners.
Yeah, I have been skydiving a few times, and I love it. I find it to be one of the most life affirming, fun things that I have ever done. It felt so freeing to do it. But it's almost it's one of the things I have to say, for me anyway. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. The first time I did it was so incredible that it's almost like you're constantly chasing that first high that you get. And it was never quite the same, always a different experience, but never the same as the first time. But yeah, skydiving was amazing.
Were you ever scared? Were you scared the first time? Are you
Oh
scared
God,
every
yeah.
time?
Yeah, because I'm up there and it's like, okay, I mean, I remember the first time I'm playing it all cool. It's like, yeah, I'm in it. We're up, and it was raining that day. So we had to actually go even higher than normal because we had to go above the clouds. And I'm like, I'm
So
good.
did you jump into did you see just clouds below you?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I did jump tandem every time I've jumped tandem, because it's like I want not all the responsibility of the jump, so I've jumped tandem every time. So I think when it was time for me to go latch on to my person, my instructor, that's when my heart started beating really fast and I got really scared. And then I said, okay, let me just lean into him and listen to his heart. So I could start regulating my breathing to his breathing and my heartbeat to his heartbeat. So I was like, okay, I'm good. all the way until we got to the edge and I'm at the door. And then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then he's
Yeah.
like, okay, we got to go. And he just jumped out of the plane. And I could still hear myself screaming in my head. As we jumped out, I was just screaming. But then as we leveled out, oh my gosh, so amazing. And then, yes, I was floating through clouds and past birds and just saw all the scenery below me. And it was just incredible.
It's honestly, it sounds incredible. Skydiving, I can understand why people are addicted to it and why people love it so much. I have a fear of heights, and even you just telling me that story makes my hands and my feet tingle. Like I have anxiety just listening to that.
Oh,
I My husband and I always say, like, if we had to choose skydiving or bungee jumping, 1,000,000% it would be skydiving.
yep.
But then there's a whole journey right there. Like, I don't know. Like, the only good thing is that I would be tied to someone and I would leave it up to them. Like, they would have forced me to get out. So I don't know. But
Yeah, I think that's kind of it too, because you have the fun without 100% of the responsibility of having to pull the cord yourself, right?
yeah, but then I'm also a
Um,
worry wart. I'm like, what
and
if?
there's a backup. There's also a
I
backup.
know.
So,
I've seen too
I
many
mean,
crazy videos, but I can understand. And that's really a transformative experience itself, right? Like
yes.
getting people to look past these fears and overcome things. And I can fully understand why it's a full transformational process as well. So that's
Yeah.
incredible. You keep doing that, and I will enjoy through you. So, well, how could everyone, Sophia, find, follow, learn more about you?
Okay, so on Instagram, there's two ways to get to me. If you're looking for a coach, you can go to Create Life Your Way. And then if you're looking for travel inspiration, travel tips, you can go, this one's a little bit more complicated, so I'll slow it down. It's Sophia underscore I underscore got underscore IG. And it's just okay, if I have a few minutes, I'll just tell the story behind that. I was out with some photography friends. We were doing a shoot, and it was a while ago. And everybody was like, well, what's your IG? What's your IG? So we can all share our pictures. I'm like, I don't have IG. What are you talking? I don't have Instagram. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have Instagram? You know, if you're going to be in this group, you got to have Instagram. So that was my thing. Sophia, I got IG.
Well, then that's memorable. And what about you have a website, right?
I do. It's the Reiki Healing Coach.com. Well,
Perfect.
www.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. We will be sure to put all of those in the show notes. Sophia, thank you so much for joining us on the TCN podcast today. It was a joy talking with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Of course. Everyone, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Travel Coach Network. Learn more at thetravelcoachnetwork.com. Come give us a hello in our TCN global community. You can find the link for that and your free beginner's guide to travel coaching and all of Sophia's links in the show notes. If you know anyone who might be interested in travel coaching, please be sure to send them our way to our podcast. We truly appreciate that. And until next time, my fellow wanderers, bye for now.